everyone, Alex Donne here, and today I am going to be sharing how I am Preptobering. Instead of doing like a how-to, which I think I've done in the past, like how to prepare for NaNoWriMo, I'm just gonna share what I am personally doing because I am actually legitimately Preptobering. I like quasi have Preptobered before, but this time I'm Preptobering while legitimately planning, hoping, wishing, praying to do Nano this year. Though, we'll talk about the kind of caveat to that, but how am I Preptobering? I have, technically I've been Septobering, sept planning as well. I started this in September, but we are officially in Preptober. So what am I doing? The first thing I'm doing is I have been reading a ton. I had like a start and stop reading slump throughout drafting and editing my last thriller, as you know, if you watch my reading wrap-ups, and thank God it's over. Like, you were always worried that you're permanently broken in terms of reading when you hit a reading slump. I've been on a roll since early September when I turned in my book. I have read like 6 books. I'm on my 7th, mostly fiction, so I've just been reading a ton of current thrillers. That's what I was most behind on, and that's helping me the most for refilling the well for what I'm planning and working on. So I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm hoping, like, let's see, maybe I can read like 10 to 15 books before NaNoWriMo starts. So the second thing I've been doing, I mean, I technically always do this, but I've been watching a lot of things. It's all about refilling the well, but I have been really like, I've rewatched some series that have vibes that fit the next project I'm working on. I've just, you know, kind of dove into like buzzy things. So I watched Midnight Mass. Now I'm watching Squid Game, which is really good. I'm almost done with that. I need to watch White Lotus on HBO. I'm just ingesting storytelling, characters, themes, emotions, just ingesting a ton of content, movies. And in September, I was rewatching specifically thrillers, movies, and TV shows as part of the refilling the well process. So the third part of Preptober is simply knowing what I'm going to write. I've known for a while, I've shared it in my vlogs. My next book is definitely gonna be an isolation trope thriller. So it's really just been a nugget though. It's really just been a trope, and it's only started to come together in September and now into October. So it's kind of nailing down what that is and knowing the motive and working backwards from that. And then the fourth thing specifically is I have been agonizing, like just going back and forth and doing different tests, and you'll eventually see my vlog or I just literally sit and I go, should it be one POV or multi-POV? Should it be first person or third person? That is what I have been doing. Specific to first person versus third person, I did have like the first page. So I have technically written the first page because it came to me and I wrote it down, and it came to me in first person, but then I did a test of converting multiple paragraphs of what I had written into third to test the voice, because a thriller like this can definitely work in third person. And I did my little test, and that did tell me I really want to write this in first person. It's one tick off the list. I do know it's going to be in first person. I've been waffling about multi-POV. Do I want to do 1, 2, 3, 4? And part of that also has been working on my characters. So I started with names. I started with the Social Security baby name index for the approximate year that a lot of these characters would be born. I love doing that. I love to go past the top 100, by the way. The top 100s, you're just gonna see a lot of the same names a lot, and they literally are the most popular. I love to look in the 200s, 300s, 400s of that list, because that's where you're gonna see names that are on the rise. There are cool names that you can pick that are gonna be literally less common in a lot of other YA books. That's another reason. But it can spark ideas, and I jotted down a list of names for girls and names for boys that I really liked. And then I kind of started cherry picking the ones that I was getting vibes off, that I liked, and kind of mixing and matching them so that they would stand apart, so that none of them sounded exactly the same, that they didn't all like end with the same letter or like vowel sound or consonant sound. I always do that, but like kind of building that, and from there I was able to springboard. Some of the character archetypes started coming to me. They're also just character archetypes you do expect in an isolation trope thriller. So I also started a list of archetypes, started attaching names to some of those archetypes. I already had a list of manners of death. I did work on that in September, but what I did in the last week was I also started trying to attach some of those to people. to character, not real people, to characters. And this also forces me to think of the big thing, which is, who the heck is my killer? This is a huge part of Preptober for me. I'm getting there, but I'm still throwing around scenarios. A huge part of this process is bouncing ideas off of friends who will stand to listen to me do it. I had a call with my editor as well. I just vomited some like ideas at her. It's like saying them to another person and working through the possibilities, because there are ripples to every idea. It helps me process. And so that is a huge part of Preptober for me. I can feasibly, theoretically start the book without 100% being sure of the killer, maybe, but I'd really rather know. It would make it so much easier. And I also haven't decided on the POV, by the way. That's still something I'm Preptobering. I'm leaning more single POV, but I might go dual. Dual is still in the mix. The fifth Preptober thing is trying to nail down a setting. In a pinch, I could be generic. I have a setting in the sense of like, isolation trope is all about like, where are you isolating them? Are you going with an island? Are you going with a mountain? Are you going with a beach? Like weather and like vibes. I know that. You know I want trees and rain and possibly doing snow. But the actual location, I'm starting to buzz around real concrete ideas, because that will help me, because then I can do like the Google Maps thing and like the internet research thing where I have an idea of, this is like the little nerdy things I do like to know, like architecture, local demographics, like what do the trees look like if you're gonna describe that kind of thing. So I'm circling some strong ideas there. And so the sixth Preptober step that am I doing it? But it's a step that makes sense. Like I want this list of how I'm Preptobering to actually be helpful to people. The sixth one theoretically is outlining. You know I'm not gonna outline, but thrillers I have to plan them more than I plan other books. The freedom that I have though is that I never pressure myself to actually outline, let alone the middle. I find middle is the most challenging beyond signposts. So essentially I'm gonna set up my signposts, and I actually kind of already have them because this is a multiple death book, and in a multiple death book those are pacing signposts that are pretty easy to follow. I already have some ideas. The first act has really been kind of forming in my brain of some of the red herrings that I'm gonna set up. Because I do know who isn't the killer. There's at least a couple characters where I'm like, you're definitely not the killer. So it helps me kind of set up red herrings and also like think about POV. I might write a synopsis. That's been a method that's been really helpful for me in the past because it's very top line. I don't typically do beat sheets, but I will do, as I said, roadmap. I will like bullet point out a list that identifies for me inciting incident, break into two. I don't always have my midpoint turn. This one it's a little more obvious because of the trope and the genre. Climax, so like identifying those things ahead of time really help me. And I might also, if you're familiar with me, I do like lists, pointed lists, beat lists, but I tend to do them section by section. So like it's a forest for the trees thing. It's headlights writing. I can see something when I get close to it. So I can probably efficiently beat out Act 1, which would be very helpful for momentum getting started into the project. The seventh Preptober thing is kind of funny and silly, but the week before November, I'm gonna stock up on snacks. Writing snacks are very important. I like wine, not every day, but like it's kind of nice to have writing sessions with wine and a candle. I have plenty of candles. That's one thing I am stocked up on. Fall moody writing candles. Ooh, I need to create a playlist. That kind of goes hand. So this is all about like the setting up the mood stuff. It's the snacks, it's the drinks, it's the playlist, it's the candles. So I'm definitely putting all of that together. Ooh, another fun one is I get to create the Scrivener document. That's another aspect of Preptober. And I almost did last week and then I stalled because I was like, so it gives you different template options. And one of them is a novel in parts. And I was like, do I want to do this in parts? It can be another interesting way to structure a book, and part-based novels can be super fun and suspense, but I still haven't decided, so I guess it's another thing I have to decide. Yeah, I have to set up my Scrivener document. That's a huge part of Preptober, making sure it is ready to go, set my daily word counts in the tracking part of Scrivener. So the next part of Preptober that I'm really thinking of, that I hinted to before, is planning for obstacles. NaNoWriMo always has certain obstacles to it that come naturally from what November means. And it's different for everyone, though. If you are American, Thanksgiving is a big one. That is always one that you have to think about and plan around, to like get in extra words before, or you just warn your family that you're gonna disappear on the day. It's like being very, very smart with your time and your motivation. So I have stuff coming up in November that could represent obstacles to NaNoWriMo, which is why I always am willing to give myself an out on NaNoWriMo, being perfectly honest. I haven't successfully done NaNoWriMo since 2015, but I've still always gotten something out of NaNoWriMo, even when I don't hit a goal. To me, any word count is great. I want to get a head start on this project. Like, my low bar goal would be to get 10 to 20,000 words if I can, to really firm this up so it feels like a real book. But man, if I could actually accomplish NaNoWriMo, that would be kind of amazing, because I'd probably have 3/4 of a book if I managed to do that. So I've got some virtual events and teaching obligations in November that could throw a wrench in the works, because when I go into days where my mode is like teaching or marketing, it can be hard for me to get into drafting mode. My day job is also always busy in Q4. That's always a consideration for me with Nano, and has definitely affected some of my past Nanos. But that said, I actually have time off that I have to take, so I might actually be able to take time off during November and maybe even go somewhere like a personal writing retreat weekend, which could help me with NaNoWriMo. So I have considered that. Thanksgiving, as I mentioned, and just IRL stress. I have real life obligations that honestly I put off while I was working on my last book that I really should take care of and no longer neglect. And I find it difficult to focus my bandwidth on those things at the same time as being productive with writing. People always ask me how I do it. I do it by often neglecting responsibilities I have in other areas. It's not great, and a part of me, like, I almost think I use I mean, I like the writing. I like writing books. I like the project-based nature of it. I like being published, and it's almost easier to focus on that, as stressful as it is, than some of the IRL stuff. So that's a consideration where I might have to have a moment where I suck it up, buttercup, and don't go all in on Nano, because I know that I should actually probably take care of those things. And last but certainly not least, planner. Gotta have my planner ready. Luckily I do, because if you followed my vlogs on my last thriller, starting that thriller off was like a little messy, because I realized I didn't have thrillers with enough blank pages, and that was unacceptable for drafting. So I bought a new one last spring, which definitely still has plenty of monthly spreads left. So I have my planner. I still have plenty of star stickers. I am good to go on planners. I personally find that really helps me track my writing, whether it's a planner or you buy a physical calendar. I like writing my daily word count per day and then putting little star stickers every 500 words. That really helps me visualize and be motivated to keep going. So if you are new to that whole idea, I highly, highly recommend. I call it the star sticker method because I think that's what V.E. Schwab called it, and I got it from her. So I have a video on that. It also comes up in a lot of my vlogs. So those are my main Preptober steps. The main thing, honestly, is that I am just the reading is helping a ton. Reading other thrillers, ingesting those things, spitballing lots of different ideas. My like brain dump Google Doc document is really helpful with like character lists and name lists and death lists and archetype lists and thinking about locations. I've told different friends about it. I've bounced questions off them, because like this is pretty fun, like especially with an isolation trope thriller, like the makeup of the cast, like who the cast is, and making sure it scratches itches and ticks off boxes is really kind of fun. I'm disturbingly excited about how I'm gonna kill people, which is concerning but fun. The scene setting, isolation trope thrillers are all about vibes, and I'm very excited to write those vibes. So I'm feeling primed, I'm feeling ready. So no matter what happens, I'm gonna do something in NaNoWriMo. And I guess this is technically part of Preptober. Live streams. I'm definitely gonna do live streams during Preptober. So if you have missed my live streams since I turned in my book, I will be back on that wagon for NaNoWriMo. Definitely gonna do some of those. And I'm actually going to do at least one live write-in on the official NaNoWriMo YouTube channel. So that is really, really cool. That's one of my, and you can actually file that under some of the obligations I have for November that could take away from my writing, because again, marketing mode, because I am collabing with them and like teaching different classes and stuff. But yeah, Preptober, I'm feeling it. I'm excited. I guess there will be a whole separate video about my goals for this book, or it'll go into the vlog, but I'll leave you with it here. One of the reasons I really want to do this NaNoWriMo, fingers crossed, is I'm really hoping this book will be a fast drafting process. The process on my last one wasn't fast, but the Ivies was relatively fast. I know I can draft a pacey thriller pretty fast. Isolation trap thrillers are very pacey. This book does not have to be long. My last one, just kind of the way it was structured, it was a longer book. It's more of a suspense mystery. My last one, it won't be out for another year. Be out a year from now. But this one, like, NaNoWriMo is 50,000 words. I have written 50,000 words in a month before, but even if I can't write 50,000 words, I can write 20,000 words. And I would love for this book to be a 2 to 3 month book. And it could be, because I don't think this book has to be any longer than 70,000 words. It could even be shorter than that. So I'm feeling optimistic and excited. I want to know down below in the comments, how are you Preptobering? What are like your big Preptober steps? And if you're telling me that, like, who's doing Nano? Let's find out who is doing Nano. Yes. And yeah, actually, just like, we're just gonna make it an official thing. I need to figure out live streams during Nano. If I schedule them, I will write. So yeah, I've decided that's going to be a thing. So give this video a thumbs up if you like it. And if you're not or subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and happy writing.